Mothers for Justice and Equality are well known in Boston for their healing, vision, and leadership in violence prevention. On Thursday and Friday, they'll take that to another level with a national conference at the Seaport Hotel. To tell us about the event is our guest from the group, the Outreach Resource Advocate, Sarah Flint. Thank you very much for being with us, Sarah.
Thanks for inviting me.
First of all, why do people want to come here and sit down with your group?
With our group, because it gives them a sense of belonging and having the comfortability of being able to talk to someone that knows what they're going through and won't criticize. Because we have a lot of mothers that say, you know, they said, forget about it, or why you keep talking about that. But with our group, you know, we welcome them with open arms, and they could talk about what they want. There's no going and telling. There's a confidentiality clause that we don't go and tell another person's business. It's up to them to tell their story.
Well, this group began as a nucleus of survivors, and the word I keep hearing over and over again about what you're trying to do is to give these survivors power. What does that mean? It
means to give them the right to more or less demand and get to sit at the table. You know, we have a lot of times where we have, you know, so-called community leaders and organizational heads that go and talk supposedly for us. What we're doing is preparing them through a program called You Matters, and we work with them for 8 weeks, teaching them public speaking, civic engagement, taking their lives from the past, where am I at now, and the future. And so far, we've graduated 62 women. We have a youth program where we teach our youth to advocate for themselves. We call it Youth Advocacy Program. We started off with like 15 youth, I think about 3 years ago. Last summer, we had 50, you know, and that's keeping the kids off the street, giving them a stipend, and showing them the value of themselves. We take them to the State House, the City Council, let them meet these individuals who they may not, in other ways, a lot of these kids may not ever meet them in their lives, you know, and they could sit and talk with them and ask them questions. They've met with candidates that are running for the mayor, you know, for the city council. We have little youth forums. I mean, Senator Elizabeth Warren, she loves our youth. She comes and talks to them and listens to them having their, their forums. And this lets them know that adults are listening to them, because we have to listen to these kids. They don't know, we don't know what they're really going through. And a lot of them, you know, don't trust adults. It's not only the police, some of them don't even trust their parents.
Well, we talk about mothers and fathers as being survivors of violence, but these young people are they've been traumatized.
Oh yeah,
too.
But not all of the ones, like we just assume. Not all of the children that come to us have been personally affected by violence, but just hearing it on the news is traumatizing. You know, some individuals saying, well, you know, the children, well, why did they do this? You know, how come this happened? Or they hear from other kids they know that have actually been traumatized. So all the kids that we deal with are not actually survivors of violence, and a lot of the women that we deal with are not either. And we've had a couple of men that went through our program, so we're like, oh, they're going to be intimidated. They're not, but they're like, no, I'm coming. I like this. And one has said, you know, brought out things in him that he never thought about in the past. So, you know, it's about us working and being empowered to go to the legislators and say, testify, you know, go and find out about these bills and go and testify and see, let them see that we're concerned, because our community doesn't get half the services that we need to get, because the elected officials, their attitude is, well, they don't vote. You know, we have to, that's another way we have to empower ourselves.
Well, explain those services, because from what I hear from survivors is that if you have been traumatized, it's not like you can get over it in a week or
Oh, no,
this is the rest of your life, really.
No, because it is, because I've been dealing with it for 32 years. But I've dealt with it without no services, you know, believing in God, family, and the fact that I had 3 remaining kids that I had to make sure, you know, grew up. My kids were 10, 13, and 16 when my 15-year-old was murdered. So I couldn't just give up. You know, a lot of, you're right, a lot of women, they can't, and we know that, and it's the ones that really, I've had some mothers that have came and joined our organization that have lost their kids like 3-4 weeks before they came, but because they're like, I gotta do something. I can't just wallow in my grief. And then our theme is, you know, take your grief to action. You know, don't just wallow in your grief, act on it and go and tell, you know, it's telling your story. You know, I have a couple of mothers that, you know, 19, 20 years, and had one that came, a lot of them, their mothers have brought them, the grandmothers have brought the mothers that they're like, I don't know what to do with my daughter. You know, she's totally changed, and you know, she won't do this, she can't do that. And then they've come to our empowerment breakfasts. Next thing we know, they're acting, and they become active. I had one mother that said that she lost her 9-year-old. She was saying how ambulances and sirens, the sirens, every time she heard one, it would upset her, and she would, you know, start crying. Then she came and started getting active with our organization. Next thing we know, she's on a radio show talking about, you know, what Mothers for Justice has done to help her.
Sarah, talk about the event that's coming up this week.
Okay, the event, this is a 3-day event. It's called National Women's Empowerment Conference. And we have women from 8 states coming. They're from, well, Massachusetts, New York, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Illinois, Georgia, Florida, and California. And it's survivors coming together and brainstorming and seeing how we could do a coalition, you know, where we take it to the whole country. Because you look at all this violence that is going on in the country, we need to take a stance and not be quiet anymore, because it's, I mean, like Boston it's not a lot of any homicide is too many, but like there's a low number of the fatalities, but the ones that have survived, if you add them in to the actual homicides, it's over 200, you know, and that's not okay, you know. And this event, we're doing workshops on self-help, religion, and
also, so you got some political agendas here too, right?
Oh yeah, we have, like, we're starting off, well, the mayor's doing the welcoming in the opening of the conference. Yeah. Then we're having an open reception, which is Wednesday from 5 to 7. Everything's at the Seaport Hotel. So it's a meet and greet, and we're inviting our elected officials to come, and as many as able to come and do a welcoming to our guests. And then we just mingle on Wednesday, and then Thursday we start the breakfast, and then we break into the workshops, and then we have lunch, and then we go back to the workshops.
You mentioned if people want some more details on this, you've got a website, I imagine, or
yes,
some social
it's
media?
www.Mothers for Justice and Equality, that's one word, and .org. And they could go on, get more information. They can even register if they want, because we have a few more openings.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's always a pleasure for you to invite us. I enjoy every time.
Always good to see you, Sarah.
Yeah,
Thank you very
thank
much.
you.
Sarah
Thank you.
Flint from Mothers for Justice and Equality.